to just go ahead and turn it over to the legend, Phil Stringer. If maybe one of you has never heard of Phil, Phil is the legend with AI. If you want to save time, make more money, and improve your business and have fun, then Phil Stringer is going to bring the heat. Phil, can you share a little bit about yourself? And then let's just jump into our content today.
Yeah, let's do it. I love it. So I'm a former real estate COO. So I was the chief operating officer of a mega team in North Carolina before I jumped into AI full time. And so the reason I kind of went into AI was because I was making AI tools and automations and whatnot for our team. And then it really just kind of blew up. I mean, you guys saw what happened when ChatGPT came out. Then it was AI this, AI that. AI became such a buzzword. And now it's, fully integrated with almost everything that we do. And we know that we have to apply it. But I think the most confusing thing is, well, how do I apply it? What do I ask it? How do I ask it? What do I use it for? And there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of misinformation. And so I saw a need, especially in our industry, real estate specifically, to say, okay, how do we use this thing? How can we use it to actually save time, actually make money? And that's why I decided to do what I'm doing now, which is just full-time training and coaching on AI. And so it's an honor to be here with you. See a lot of faces in the room that I appreciate and respect. And so thanks for giving me your time and attention today. Let's jump in. Let's go through it. If you've ever been to one of my presentations, I don't love to waste time. I like to kind of just knock it out and do it. You'll have to get your notepad ready. There's some notes that you'll probably want to take. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you guys about AI agents. And I know that's a hot thing right now. Everyone's wondering, what is an AI agent? How do I set one up? Is there a way that it can automate things for me to take some things off my plate? And so I want to kind of eliminate some confusion here on what it is. I'm going to teach it to you very simply. I'm going to break down exactly what an AI agent is and how you can start using it now in your business to automate stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to jump into presentation mode. So you should see this AI Agents 101. So this is about using AI as an employee rather than a chat bot. Okay. And then we'll do some Q&A at the end as well. So I'll go through this. If you have questions, jot them down and we'll address as many questions as we can. So I want to start off with a story, and this is a true story. So I, back a few years ago, hired an employee to do one specific job. Okay. It took that employee 4 months to do. I spent $12,800 and it was one human. Okay. Now, the job that I hired them to do was very simple, but it was time consuming. Go into every single email customer request that we had received in the last few years. It was about 30,000 different customer requests, emails, et cetera, communication. And I want you to create a spreadsheet with what we were asked and how many times that question was asked. And then I want you to sort the spreadsheet by popularity, right? What is the number one thing that we've been asked as a brokerage? What is the second thing that we've been asked? And basically creating this massive spreadsheet of frequently asked questions so that I could see, what are clients confused about? What do they want to know? And I felt like this data would be very helpful. Now, I did the same thing for my company now, and I did it a few weeks ago, and it took 10 minutes, cost me $0, and one AI agent did it, and there was 26,000 emails that it went through. It created a spreadsheet. I took a little snippet screenshot for you guys to kind of see what it came up with. So it had a frequently asked questions category. The typical question in general, the typical question, number one, was how do I access the workshop replay or recording? We get those all the time because everyone's wanting to know, did you record it? How do I get the replay? Whatnot. And then it gave me a suggested answer based on the responses that my team has sent in the past. And it went through and then it had another worksheet where it listed out each individual human with their email and when they sent it, with what they sent and the date that they sent it. Thousands upon thousands of rows of information that I could dial down into, okay, what are people asking us the most? this question here, how do I book Phil for a speaking engagement or event? 6.1% of all the 26,000 requests that we've gotten have been that. And so it was really helpful for me, but you can see how I saved 4 months of time and I saved thousands and thousands of dollars from a salary perspective. And it actually did a better job than the human did. So, why do I bring up this story at the very beginning? Well, because if you are still just typing questions into AI, you are missing 95% of what it can do. And I think most of us, especially real estate agents, are still using AI at a level where we're just typing in questions and we're getting answers. So here's what you're going to walk out of this specific training in the next, 35-ish, 40 minutes here. You are going to know what an AI agent is. So simple that you can go home and explain it to your 10-year-old. Okay. 3 components that every agent needs, and why most people only set up 2. How to move years of memory from one tool to another. So you might say, Phil, I would love to start using Claude or Perplexity or Gemini, but I've been using ChatGPT for 3 years and I don't want to leave because it has so much context. You're going to know in 5 minutes how to train the new model, all the stuff from the old model, and kind of transfer that over. And then I'm going to go through a couple updates that Anthropic, which is the company that created Claude, has shipped that changes what is possible in our industry moving forward. So just so that you guys, if you have no idea who I am, just so that you know that I am qualified to talk about this stuff, it's wild. My team put this together, and there's over 100,000 people that I've trained on AI now in the last couple of years, which is wild, insane to me. But basically, this is what I do full time, and I test and update all this stuff all the time to help you guys do as best as you possibly can with AI, using it to save time and to make money. Now, I want you to imagine with me your random Tuesday, 7 a.m. You get a text message from your AI agent bot that has texted you your morning briefing. It's basically like a newspaper, a digital newspaper with everything that you need to know, right? It's got your calendar on there, what's coming up today. It maybe even if you have a meeting with someone, it did research on that person and said, here's what this person is all about. It pulled meeting notes from your prior meetings with them, if applicable, and said, this is where you left off. This is what you need to hit. Here are your action items for this meeting. It's maybe gone through your Slack messages and said, hey, you need to reply to this, or even your text messages on your phone and say, you need to close this loop. It's gone through your emails to say, these are the emails that are most important. Make sure you don't let this slip by, right? It's gone through and it's given you the most important real estate news in your market from the last 24 hours. And it says, here are the news with the links. Here's an article that's really important. You need to read up on this. And it's basically like a morning brief that has everything that you need to know for your business. And you decide what you want or what you don't want. And you get that text message at whatever time you want to receive that text message. 10 a.m. then, you take out your phone and you message your AI agent bot for an update. And it says, hey, 10 new leads have hit your CRM by lunch. At 2 p.m., you're at the gym and your agent finds a file that you've been looking for and it sends it to you. The reason I put this line in here is because this was something that actually happened to me. I was at the gym and there was a very large real estate conference that texted me, someone from the conference, and they said, hey, we're pitching you to the CEO to have you speak and keynote at this event this year. And do you have any type of speaker sheet or file that shows what events you've done, maybe a clip or whatever? And I'm sitting there at the gym. Now, I could have texted a human employee and said, hey, will you find our speaker kit? But I wanted to test it out. So I texted my AI agent and I said, go through my computer, because my computer was at work. I was at the gym. And I said, I don't know where it is. I don't know what the file's named. All I know is there's a speaker kit, like a PDF thing that shows what events I've done, and this person needs it. Can you find the file on my computer somewhere and text it to me so that I can forward it to this person so they can pitch me for this event? And within a few minutes, it found the file, it texted it to my phone, and I was able to send it to that person because it is able to do those type of things. 7 p.m., you're at dinner, your reports get written, your follow-ups go out, and this stuff is done for you because you have taken the time on the front end to set up certain applications, automations, scheduled tasks to happen while you are doing your life. So this is what we're all getting wrong about AI. And I admit I got it wrong too, because the first couple years I was training this stuff, this was true. And that is AI is a tool. And if you've been to any of my presentations, even from a couple years ago, a lot of times I said AI is a tool, but a fool with a tool is still a fool. Like you have to learn how to use the tool to be, really good with what you're doing. And that is true. However, AI within the last few months, things have changed. It is no longer a tool. AI is now a team. AI is a team of employees if you set it up correctly to get things done for you. And so now your job has just changed. You are no longer a user of AI. You need to be a manager of a team. So the chat model, which we're all used to, is question to answer. We put in a question, we get an answer. The agent model, AI agents, AI employees, is we give it a goal and we get a result, right? It gets things done for us. So the way that we should use AI is fundamentally different now than how most of us are using AI, because that's how we've been using it the last few years. We don't tell AI how to do something. We tell it now the result that we want. And if you don't get anything from the training today, just get this. Write this down, put this in your brain. The way that we used to use AI was we used to say, hey, write me a blog post with this many words and do it in this tone and whatnot. Rather than doing that, now AI is smarter than every single one of us in this room. Whether you're watching live, watching a recording, whatever it is, AI is smarter than all of us. So instead of telling it how to do the thing, unless we are a world class blog writer, we should tell AI the result that we want from the blog being written. And it is smarter than we are to figure out the best way to do that. How many words, what tone, etc. So rethink your brain on how we use AI and be like, you know what? Instead of me explaining how to do this, because I might be wrong, I just need to tell AI why I'm doing this. What is the result that I want from this piece of content? What is the result that I want from this? And it will figure out the best way because it's smarter than we are now. So, because of this, the most valuable skill is no longer knowledge, it's creativity. Knowledge is cheap now, guys. Anyone can Google or go to ChatGPT and ask a question, and they're going to get an answer. Knowledge is cheaper than it's ever been. But if you can creatively think, how do I communicate what I want the result to be? If you can figure out how to communicate that, what you want, that communication, that creativity is so much more valuable than knowledge, because knowledge is getting cheaper and cheaper. So to fully jump into this, and I'll do screen share stuff where I kind of go over to a Claude and I'll move around and show you some things. But to do that, we need to fully understand what AI agents are, because there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of stuff that is just going out that's not true. So we need to understand what is an AI agent, what is an AI employee, and how does that actually work. So to do that, we first have to understand what automation is. And I think most of us in this room understand automation, but I'm going to talk to you like you're five for a second. And I'm going to give you, there are three levels of automation. The first one is traditional automation. Now, what is automation? Automation assigns repetitive tasks to machines, obviously. It will connect your apps together. It will move data. It will follow the rules that you set automatically. It's going to save you time. Like, it's going to take more time to set up on the front end. But once you spend that time, exponentially, you will save time in the future because it's going to automatically run. Okay. So it removes this manual work. It keeps things running smoothly with almost no effort once it's set up, if you set it up properly. So the first type of automation is the one that we all know and the one that we've used for a long time, or maybe we have, had someone set up some automation for us in the past. This is traditional automation. It follows the clear rules that you give it, nothing more, nothing less. It is great at doing the same thing over and over, fast and reliably. Does not learn, does not adapt. It is literally black and white. If this, then that. You set the rules, you set the variables, and it will run based on those rules unless something breaks and then you got to fix it. Okay. Now, the second type of automation that just, 3-4 years ago, we were able to kind of play around with this is what's called AI automation. Now that we had tools like ChatGPT, we could connect the brain of ChatGPT to an automation so that it can take it even further than just black and white. So the AI automation will use tools and machine learning to learn from the data, and then it can spot patterns and it gets smarter over time because we plugged the ChatGPT brain into the automation to think, right? So it's not just black and white. It's, oh, well, this pattern here from this data.
It looks like he froze.
I was like, where is the Phil?
Yeah.
Phil, we can't hear you.
Hey, Phil.
That's really odd.
That was going
Well, this is good because
too.
I'm catching up on the notes that I'm writing. Phil, are you back?
We'll give him a minute to log back in. Out of curiosity, who's using Claude right now? I know Brian Butler is, who's on this call. Quite a few.
Heck yeah. Claude has been
I'm
generating emails for me, and that's been taking off a lot of stuff and got lots of projects going on, doing all of my Canva work too, which is really nice.
I'm excited to learn how to transfer all the knowledge I've given Chat GPT to Claude.
Yes. So you have to retrain. Well, Brian said he built a 2-year smart campaign for Bold Trail, which is pretty awesome. Jeff, how have you been using it? I know Jeff Sutherland's on here. You migrated some of your chat stuff over, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a really cool project recently. I basically, since I'm a real full-time real estate practitioner, according to the IRS, if you guys own rentals, you have to spend X amount of time on every rental in order to take a paper loss in the same year, which is a huge advantage for a real estate agent. So I actually had Claude scrape my calendar, my Gmail. I gave it this very elaborate prompt. It spit out this amazing report that I gave to my CPA. They were blown away. He goes, "This is exactly what I needed. So if the IRS ever comes knocking at my door, I am squeaky clean." That's Claude, baby, right there.
I love it.
I'm back.
Hey, he's back.
Man, Tom, I'm glad you called me because I would have never known. I just would have gone for 45 minutes. So what's the last thing that you guys heard before it went out?
We were on the number one automation, this traditional automation.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So I'll share my screen. We'll go back a little bit. Did Tom have to tell a bunch of jokes while we were waiting?
Yeah, bad dad jokes. I've got a ton of
Bad
them.
dad jokes.
Yeah, they
All
were
right.
awesome.
So Tom, if it happens again, call me because I have no idea. I appreciate you calling.
Yeah.
Phil,
So we
you had just switched slides to the second type.
Okay, perfect. So we all understand what traditional automation is. What we have now, since these ChatGPT large language models came out, is the ability to do AI automation, which is basically we plug the brain of ChatGPT or any large language model into the automation. And it is able to then learn from the data, spot patterns, and get smarter and make recommendations because it's thinking. It's not just a black and white, if this, then that. And then the third type of automation, which is the one we're going to go through today, is what's called AI agents. And this takes it a step even further because it doesn't just learn based on the data, it takes action. So it's more than just plugging a brain into it. It's saying, hey, I'm going to plug a brain into it, but I'm also going to give you access to make decisions and act like an employee, move a mouse, type, and do things. Okay. So this AI agents thing is basically like hiring a virtual employee. Okay. Now, there are some popular automation tools. If you guys have done any automations in the past, these will be familiar. Zapier, make.com. There's a new one called N8N that's gained popularity recently. So because I'm a visual learner, and if you're a visual learner, this will help you, I'm going to switch out of presentation mode and go over here to, this is Zapier. Okay. Now let's take a look at Zapier, because with Zapier, you would have to, back in the day, which thank goodness we don't have to do this anymore, you would have to set up your automations manually. Okay. And so thank goodness we don't have to do this anymore, because now we can use AI to help us do this. So if I were to go in here, I'd have to set a trigger like, all right, every morning at this time, I want you to run this, or every time something hits this account, I want you to send a notification via Slack. You had to think through all the different steps, and you had to do step by step by step and create it manually. Okay. Make.com, very similar. You have to create the steps manually, and this is how we would create automations in the past. Now there is a tool called N8N. Now, this is something that a year ago really kind of popped off, because you were able to not only build automations with N8N, but you would build AI agents that could make decisions and do things for you and think through it. Now, we don't even have to build with these tools anymore within the last couple months, because of the way the technology has changed, which is great, because building these agents was super difficult to do for the average person. And I'll show you an actual workflow that I created back in the day and show you how complex it can be. But now we don't even have to do this. We can just create agents very easily, which I'm going to show you how to do. But those are kind of the popular automation tools. So what is an AI agent? Well, it's a system that can think, plan, and take action all on its own, based on the information that you give it. So if you were to think of this very simply, automation is going to be fixed steps like we're used to from the past. Agents is dynamic and it's flexible. It has a brain attached to it. It has tools attached to it, so it can think, it can plan, and it can take action for you like an employee. So now there are 3 components. If you're taking notes, this will be important. 3 components to every AI agent. Okay. If you are creating an AI agent, it has to have these 3 things. Number 1, it has to have a brain. Okay. So this is the large language model that's going to power the thinking behind it. So you could put in ChatGPT's brain. You could put in Gemini's brain. You could put in Perplexity's brain, whatever large language model you want, but it has to have a brain so that it can think through the different things. Okay. This is what gives it the ability to think, plan, and act. So the brain. Number 2, the second thing you need with an AI agent is memory. So if it has a brain and it can think and it's really smart, but then it forgets everything the next day, obviously that wouldn't work. We want it to grow. We want it to build on itself. We want to figure out things and mistakes that have been made in the past, or ways to do it better, and remember things just like a real employee would. And so this is how it will remember what's already happened: past conversations, context, documents, databases, etc. So we've got a brain, we've got memory so that it can remember and get better over time. The third main component of every agent is tools. So this is how your agent will actually take action. This is how it sends an email. This is how it grabs data for you. This is how it updates your calendar. Tools are what let it do something in the real world. Think of this as like you were hiring an assistant, right? Let's say you're going to hire a human executive assistant. Well, they better have a brain. If they don't, you're in trouble. They better have memory so that they can get better over time and remember your preferences day in and day out. And if you had an executive assistant and you never gave them access to a computer, a phone, your Gmail login, whatever, they would never be able to perform actions for you. If you hire someone, you say, hey, manage my email inbox, but you never gave them the login to your email inbox, nothing's going to happen, right? So think of that when you think of, okay, a virtual AI employee has to have a brain, has to have memory, has to have tools. I was just doing this presentation. Where was I? I don't even remember where I was, but it was a large room of real estate agents live. And I went through this and someone was like, well, I hired an assistant that didn't have a brain. And maybe you've been there too. Maybe you have hired someone who basically didn't have a brain. Obviously, we need these 3 things for a virtual agent to work with us. So it looks like this visually. There's a single agent system, which is the easiest way I can explain it. Is you have a task, it goes to the agent, and the agent performs the solution and performs the action for you so that it's done. Task, agent, solution. Now, here's where it gets really cool. And this is like if you want to go a little bit deeper here. You have a task. It goes to a supervisor agent or maybe a chief of staff or a manager. And that manager, based on the task, decides which sub-agent it should send the task to. So for an example, if you want a P&L, profit and loss statement sent to you, it's probably not going to send it to an agent that's trained on marketing. It's going to send it to the finance agent. If you want a social media post created, it's not going to send it to the CFO. It's going to send it to the marketing or the Instagram agent or the Facebook agent. So you have sub agents that are trained very specifically on how to do one thing very well. Because if you just have one major agent and you're like, do this for me, it's not going to be super dialed in on one thing. It might know a little bit about everything, but it's not going to give you amazing results unless you were to, quote, hire a marketing manager or an Instagram director, right? Because those agents are hyper specific on what their job is. And so it makes them perform better, just like in the real world. You wouldn't hire someone to do everything, finances, marketing, because they're not going to be amazing at that specific thing. And so the way that it looks, if you're doing a multi-agent system, is you have a task, goes to the supervisor, and it says, okay, we're going to send this to our customer support agent because they're the best at customer support inquiries. We're going to send this over to our research agent, our sales agent, our marketing agent, our CFO, whatever it is. And then that sub-agent gives you the solution. All right, so if I were to boil this up into one little thing, I would say build the simplest thing that works. If a traditional automation will take care of whatever it is you're wanting to do, you don't need to build a whole agent to perform that. But just like a typical employee, to be extremely efficient, each agent must be given one of the following. It must be given a role card, which is basically just a job description, right? You are this. This is what you, so if you're going to have a marketing agent, we have to give them a job description of what they are responsible for, just like a regular employee. And then the second thing that you need to give them is what's called skills. And basically skills are just SOPs, right? It's a standard operating procedure. It is a step-by-step guide on how to do something. So for an example, if I were to hire a AI employee executive assistant who's going to book my flights for me, well, I better give them training or a document that says, here are all my preferences. I prefer to fly out of this airport. I prefer this time of day. I prefer Delta. I prefer, a window seat, whatever it is, all of your preferences. Here's my, Sky Miles number. You have to give them everything in an SOP so that agent can take that documentation and use it in the future so it knows your preferences. Okay. So how do we get an AI agent? How does this even work? Well, here's the thing. Back in the day, I told you we had to build them, right? So I made a good bit of money building agents for companies because it was pretty hard to do. This is what the most simple agent, this is what it looks like. Okay, now, thankfully, take a deep breath. You do not have to do this. It's very simple now. But if you're a visual person, this will help you understand what an agent is. Here's the agent, and every agent must have three things. Remember, it has to have a brain. This is the chat model. This is the brain. So I put ChatGPT's brain into the agent. Okay, now it can think. Every agent must have memory. So you can decide how long do you want this thing to remember stuff, right? Do you want to have infinite memory, which, it costs more quote tokens, right, to process everything? Or are you like, what, this agent doesn't need that big of a memory, so we're going to set it at a smaller amount to save a little bit of money or tokens, right? And then the third thing is it has to have tools. So I connected this one to my calendar. I connected it to weather. I connected it to my Google Sheets, and I connected it to my Gmail. Now, what does this agent do? This is a simple agent that every morning at 6 a.m., it will trigger that it looks at my calendar, figures out what time of day, based on all my meetings and everything, would be good for a trail run. It looks at the weather to see, okay, is it hot? Is it cold? Is it raining? So it tells me what to wear. And then it looks at a Google Sheet that I have with 7 different trails, and it has different lengths, different amount of shade. And based on the weather, based on how much time I have in my calendar, it will tell me which trail I should do my hike. Okay. And then once it figures out that information, it sends me an email with, hey, this is the time of day that you need to do this trail, and here's what you need to wear because of the weather. Okay. That is a very simple AI agent, but it shows you visually you need a brain, you need memory, and you need tools connected to it so that it can actually perform actions. And this is how we had to do it before. We had to build these. And I mean, guys, most real estate agents are like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to build that. Right. So now we're very blessed because in the last few months, the technology has gotten really good to where we basically don't have to do any of this. We just pick what's called an AI harness or a platform that we want to use. And the AI agents are essentially built in now. And I'm going to show you that. So for an example, you guys have probably heard a lot about Claude. Claude is the one that I use. This is my daily driver. Okay. So you have to decide, do I want Claude? Chat GPT users, there is something called Codex, which is in Chat GPT, but this is you have to download a desktop version. So on all of these, you got to download a desktop version for most of them because it works on your computer, not through Chrome. So if you're using Claude and you say, okay, I want to use Claude, you have to download the desktop version of Claude, not go through Claude.ai. Chat GPT, it's called Codex, and you have to download Codex to your computer. Gemini or Google, it's called Anti-Gravity, and you have to download it to your computer because, again, it works with your computer and your file system. One that is very popular, that's been around for a while, is Manus. Manus also does AI agent work for you. Perplexity is another one because they have what's called Perplexity Computer. And then we've probably all heard of it because it went crazy a couple months ago, this thing called OpenClaw, where people were buying, additional computers and setting it up. And there were some security issues and people were trying to figure out how to set it up. I would not go with OpenClaw because it takes a lot of setup work. And if you're not a tech brain type person, I would use one of these like Claude, ChatGPT's Codex, one of these here, or even Perplexity, and decide what platform you want to use. Does that make sense?
Can't hear you, Phil. You might have to call him again, Tom.
Phil, we lost you.
I know. What is going on? It's so crazy. Yeah,
Maybe it
give
was
him a
his
call.
AI. Don't know.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
Did I lose you guys again?
Yeah,
You did.
about
I think your AI assistants are like trying to get in the way of this training, maybe now.
I guess so. So in the chat, tell me, does that make sense? The different platforms. Did you guys hear me walk through the different platforms?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So does that all make sense? Like you've got to pick Claude, you've got to pick Chat GPT, whatever it is. Okay. So you have to decide what wrapper, what harness, what am I going to use? Okay. So what I'm going to show you in the next 10 minutes here is I'm going to show you a couple things in Claude because I use Claude, but understand that all of this information with AI agents can be applied to any of the different wrappers, any of the different platforms. They all are the same. The way that I like to describe this to kind of get it in your mind is we are learning with AI agents how to drive. Every car has, an acceleration pedal. Every car has a wheel. Every car has a steering wheel and gears. And if you understand how to drive a car, then you can switch from an Audi to a Ford to a Toyota, and you can probably drive different makes and models because you've learned how to drive a car. Okay. So we need to pick the platform. And once we understand how all that works, we can use any platform interchangeably. Okay. So I'm going to show you a couple things within Claude specifically. Okay. So I told you that I would show you how to easily import and export memory. So if you're like, hey, I've been using Chat GPT, but I really want to switch to Perplexity or Claude or whatever it might be, then this is the easiest thing that we can do and kind of get an easy win under our belt. So I'm going to show you in Claude. This is really nice. If you use Claude, you can click on your name right here, and there's a settings button. And under settings, you've got all of these different options. There's one called capabilities. And under capabilities, there's this memory section at the top, and you have an import memory from other AI providers, and it says start import. So you can click on that. Now, the great thing about this is it gives you this prompt, you can see here, that will extract the data from whatever system you've been using. So if you've been using ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever, it will extract that data for you. All right, so I'm going to copy this. And what I would do is, let's say I use ChatGPT. I would go over to ChatGPT, I would paste in that prompt, and I would hit enter, and then it's going to think. Now, here's a little hack for you. If you are using, say, ChatGPT, you have the ability to put it on thinking mode. And if you put it on thinking mode when you do this prompt, it will actually give you much better results. So turn on thinking mode if that's an option for you. And then it's going to spit out the knowledge that you need. Okay. You're going to take what it spits out. And if you're using Claude, you'll just paste it in here. Now, all of these platforms have a very similar import export, and this prompt can be used whether it's Claude or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this prompt. I will see if I can, might be too long, but I'll paste it in the chat for you guys. Let's see if I can paste it. It's too long, but we can get a way to do that for you if you're not a Claude user. But it's a very simple way to import and export your memory, because now you've got all this stuff from your 3 years of ChatGPT inside of your Claude, which is nice. Okay, so that's an easy win. Now, I told you that skills were really important because this is how you train your agent on the SOPs on how to do something. And there are two really major ways that you can add skills. Now, again, I'm going to use Claude, but all of these different wrappers have different ways of doing this. Okay. So all of these wrappers have skills. It's an SOP. You click on this customize button, gives you the option to use skills and connectors. Basically, these are SOPs and these are tools. So when I click on skills, I can add different skills to my agent's brain. Now, you might say, okay, how do I add a skill? The best way to do it is to just chat with Claude and have it do something. Now, you're going to want to use this right here, which is the desktop version, okay? And you're going to want to pay the $20 a month if you're wanting to use the AI agents, because you get access to what's called co-work and code. These are the agents. I don't know. I need to book a flight for Monday, and here's what I need to do. Have it go through and actually book the flight for you. Now it's going to ask you questions. You're going to have to go back and forth. You're going to have to tell it your preferences. But once you're done, it can fully control your Chrome. It can do all of that. Once it's done, and it might be frustrating and time consuming setting up, all you have to do at the very end of it, once it's completed, is to say, now turn this into a skill. And once it does, then it writes a whole SOP, and it puts it under this customize section, and it will actually create the skill for you, a Phil's flight booking skill or whatever it might be. So that next time I book a flight, I don't have to train it. I just say, hey, book a flight to Minneapolis on Friday and use the flight booking skill. And it's going to know all my preferences. Okay. So this is really, really important. Now, the second really important thing is connecting the tools to it. So that's what's called connectors. And again, doesn't matter if you're using Claude, Codex, whatever, all of these tools have connectors where you can decide how to add different things to your account. Like I give it access to my Gmail. I give it access to my calendar. I give it access to my Drive. And you can click this plus button and you can browse all the connectors that it has. I can sort it by popularity if I wish to and see what are other people using, right? I can search for this. Now, as real estate agents, it'd be great if I'm using Follow Up Boss, say, I'd love to connect it to my Follow Up Boss. So I'll type in follow, and it doesn't look like there's a Follow Up Boss connector natively inside of Claude. So what do? Well, there is a little bit of a hack that I can give you, because remember we talked about Zapier? Zapier has something called MCP. And you just have to have a Zapier account. You click on Get Started, and Zapier has an additional 9,000 plus tools that Claude does not have that you can connect to your Claude. So I have this little purple button that says Add Apps. And now when I search for Follow Up Boss, it's there. And I can connect my Follow Up Boss account or any other tool that Claude doesn't have already in this. So now think of this. I have a brain because Claude is the brain, right? The large language model is the brain. Claude has memory built in. I've just connected my tools and I've given it SOPs. So now if I were to say, hey, do this task for me, it has access to all of these things that I have added inside of the tools or the connectors to perform actions for me. And it has SOPs with the skills. Now, I know this is a lot of information. This is like, wow, this is a lot. But that is the basics of like, hey, how do I go from chatting with AI to literally having an agent perform tasks for me? This can do almost anything that a human can do. It can move a mouse, it can click, it can type, it can pull up your Chrome. You see in the connectors, troll my Chrome. So anything that I want to pull up online and do or have it go here, I just give it an SOP and I say, okay, now go do this thing. And it's able to do that. So I'm going to answer a couple questions here. But before I do, I wanted to let you guys know for this group specifically, I wasn't even going to bring it up, but we're doing a workshop tomorrow. So if you're like wanting to jump in on all this stuff, I wanted to invite you to the workshop tomorrow where we're setting people's Claude up from scratch. And so this is basically what we're doing here. There is a Claude workshop. It is tomorrow at, I believe it's noon. Okay. So this is what you get. This is everything. There's a 2-hour live workshop. It's screen share. It's do it together. We're going to transfer your memory from whatever tool you're using to the whatever, Claude tool or whatever you're wanting to use. We're going to set up your memory so that Claude knows you from day one the right way. We're going to build your first projects tailored to your business. We're going to create a custom writing style for your voice, connect all of your tools like Google Drive, Gmail, Calendar, and more. We'll build custom skills or SOPs for your business. And we're going to build your first automated workflow with an AI agent. And then you get a replay of this workshop. So we get a lot of people who get tickets to this workshop, even if they can't make it tomorrow from 12 to 2 Eastern time. They'll get a ticket just for the workshop replay because they want to be able to pause, rewind, go faster, whatever. So this is normally $997 for this workshop that we do. We're giving a massive discount on this for you guys today because it's kind of a last minute thing where, hey, it's tomorrow. But this is $297 for you guys if you use the promo code 700 off. So 700 OFF will get you in that for $297. So if that's something that interests you, that's the QR code. If you hate QR codes, you can go to philstringer.com/Claude workshop. This is the best way to say, hey, look, I want to get this stuff set up. I want to start using Claude. I need to know what settings to set. That's the best way to do it. Make sure you use that promo code 700 off to get that discount. But I'm going to pass it back to you guys. Sorry for the tech troubles today. Let's see if we've got any questions in the room that I can address as well.
Hey, Phil, question. So
Yeah.
you're using Cloud for Agents, not N88. N8N.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
N8N is how I used to build agents before it was possible. Now all you have to do is use Claude. You don't have to build anything anymore, which is really nice for us because it's like it took a lot of time and effort and thought.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
Bill, do you separate your AI agents in Claude using projects, or do you keep do your different projects know the different agents that it's using?
Yeah, the best way to do it is to separate by project. So, if you've got a social media marketing project, you'll want to keep that separate. It just keeps things contained and much easier than having everything all in one chat.
And then you just have a single computer that sits live online all the time in your office. So like I'm on Mac just like you are. So I've got my MacBook, but then you just have like a little Mac Mini or a little Mac Airbook or something sitting off in the corner. Okay.
Yeah, I do, and it's not required. A lot of people don't have a separate Mac. The reason why I have a separate Mac is because I want it always on. I want to be able to text it because you can only text your agent if
Yeah.
Claude is up and running on the computer. So I have a computer that's always on. It never goes to sleep. It always has Claude up, and I can literally text it from my phone and say, "Hey, do this for me," like I did at the gym.
You're just using the
And
mobile connector that
so
Claude came out with, right?
that's the kind of
Looks like we lost him again. Terry, you said that Claude has a new mobile connector. That's what you're
Yeah,
referencing?
so if you have Claude Mobile, it actually, if you have Claude Mobile and you have Claude Desktop, there's a mobile connector that you can tell Claude what to do and it'll go back
having
to your
extra
desktop.
computer.
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, I have $100 a month plan, but the $20 a month plan does it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's actually called Dispatch.
Dispatch, that's what it is. Thanks. I think Phil needs an AI agent to actually search for better internet service.
Yeah, I got notification actually from my business partner that the Spectrum is having major issues in our office today. So I'm sorry about that.
Well, this has been great. Well, Phil, thank you so much for jumping on here. I really appreciate your time. We got a ton of notes, a lot of value today. So again, this is Now Nation every Wednesday at 10 a.m.